Welcome to the meeting. All right. So the title of the message is Made in His Image. So as you can see there, you have different people from all backgrounds. Okay. So what does it mean to be made in His image? Okay. So that's the whole title of my presentation. As I said, I was not. Usually, I have my presentation scheduled out. I usually make them weeks in advance, but sometimes when I'm convicted to present something else or there's something that is burning on my spirit, I usually present that. Yes, Natasha, raise your hand. What's up? Yeah, Natasha, you can unmute.
It was a mistake.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. So I was saying, okay, all right. So I was saying, I usually make my presentation weeks in advance. So I was not supposed to present then, but I was convicted to make this presentation. So hopefully it'll be a blessing to you and those who watch later. Okay, so let's start. The first verse, it's speaking about um, Genesis 1, verse 23. It says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female. Right? So we know there's an onslaught on uh, this right here. Okay, we know about the gender ideologies that were there in the previous administration, right? Total onslaught against this, but the Bible is clear. There's two genders or there's two sexes. There's male and female. That's the original design. Okay, but you know that man has come up with their own designs. So that's God's original way. And remember, we talked about God's image, meaning his spirit was in Adam and Eve. And because of that, they showed forth his character, they showed forth his uniqueness, that which was divine. The goodness of God was seen in them. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so when you go to 1 Corinthians 3, verse 16, it says, know ye not that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. So here, Paul was writing to the Corinthians. They were come to a place whereby they were just doing everything, right? They came to a place whereby they almost felt like what was done in the body was not something that concerned Christianity or God. But Paul emphasizes, no, your body is the temple, right? So we know what the temple is. As Moses was told, the place where you're standing on is holy ground. So the temple, our bodies become holy because God's presence is there. So if something is holy, it means it's set apart. Remember, Moses couldn't step upon that ground. He had to remove his shoes. What was the lesson? Where God is, that's where his holiness is to be, and it's not supposed to be treated in any way. There's supposed to be a solemnity. When you are a Christian, guess what? Your body is the Lord's. This temple is God's dwelling place. And we know if my body is God's dwelling place, it has to be treated as something that is sacred. Okay? That's the point I'm trying to bring here. Okay? So we should understand that. Now, they are what you call current beauty trends. So I try to get some pictures because right now I'm on Facebook trying to post some pictures. Okay, some of the links that we do here, I post them there. I'll try to follow some other news, etc. Okay, so right now I don't know if it's the same from your side of Africa, whether in Kenya or Zim. I do not know. But here on my side of Africa, the current beauty trend, there is this issue and it's being blown up. Okay. I've just noted that over the past few months, there are more and more sponsored ads, right? More and more people who are sponsoring this, more and more companies which are selling this, not only on Facebook, but also on the radio. Not only on the radio, even if you walk in town, there are different shops which are being set up. They are promoting beauty standards. So this is something that enhances. I don't know whether it works or not. I just clipped it from the internet. So most of these I had to just go on Facebook and just clip them and made a presentation. There were things which I was wondering, well, what's really going on, right? So This is a beauty trend whereby you take this cream or ointment, whatever, and then it is supposed to enlarge some parts of the body, right? The hips, the buttocks, right? So this is something that is being done. So I want us to remember when we are studying, not two things. The first thing is your body is the temple of God. Your body is very sacred. If you destroy that, of course, it uses almost Old Testament terminology. It says, whoever destroys the temple, God will what? Will destroy, right? So we understand that if you destroy the temple, it means the Spirit of God is not dwelling there, right? And if the Spirit of God is not dwelling there, what happens? The destruction happens. So this is something that we must understand. And one thing I wanted us to understand very closely is to understand that God created us in his image. God created us in his image. We are the temple. So I want us to please note these two things. So this is the current beauty trend, and mostly it's they're showing women who are like that. They'll put a women who has a Coca-Cola bottle shape, and then they'll put this thing there to advertise. And I know it's putting a lot of pressure on people who are even Christians. Okay, so here you have these pills here now. These are pills they're selling for hips and bums. Now, the sad reality is either they'll sell a bottle like this, they might even put ingredients there, fine. But then you find that there are some, they'll sell even bottles. If you look at the bottle on the what? On the right, it literally has no name, it has no contact, it has nothing. Whether they expired or not, no one knows. What are the contents? No one knows. And this is something that is being sold. Okay. And there's a lot of pressure to enhance the body, okay, to give someone essential appeal. This is something that the world is pushing, and since we're in the world, we find that even Christians are having that pressure to show that the way God created you is not enough. You need to push it in a natural way. And there are other extremes. I'll explain just a bit. Okay, there are these ones. I clip them, I think, on Facebook, right? These are what you call HIBs. Okay, so these are Demafil hip booster injector. So you have a Jackson. How do you call it? Is it Jackson? Not Jackson. That's gel. You have what? A syringe. You fill the syringe and then you insert. Okay. Now again, this is something that is really amazing because what happens after? Are there side effects? Right. Okay. So this is a Demafil hip booster. This is something that they'll inject in a female's body, and this will make them more beautiful. This will, it is said that it will enhance their beauty. Okay, so since there is no price on beauty, right? And more companies are coming with more and more absurd claims, not just pills, now injections. What are the complications? No one knows, and people are being pushed to go for these things. Okay, now we have here why did I put this picture here? So you can see this picture here. They're saying hips and bums. So what they'll do is they'll put a model, right? And you know what advertising does? They don't take someone who used the thing. They'll just take someone, clip them from somewhere else, put them there, and then they'll try to push. So this is the push that is there. Okay, so they push to get a figure like this female, so other females will feel insecure. Now because there's that insecurity, then they'll go for the what? For the product. So this is what is happening in the world, and I felt like it was very important that I also speak upon it. Now here, the reason why I wanted really to do something was I was asking myself, are there extremes? Are there cases whereby it's coming to a place whereby it's ruining your quality of living? Yes, because there are people who are now even taking illegal injections. Where? In the butt. Why in the butt? To enhance it. Why would anyone do that? Well, because the current beauty trends require the world. What it's requiring now is for a woman to have a large behind. Okay, so because of this, it's forcing men and women to even go, and at expense of life, people are actually dying. Okay, there are some cases whereby someone put what we call silicone implants. Now, there's different types of silicone, right? And because these are illegal operations, they insert that. I remember there was a certain lady, I didn't put it here. she had illegal silicone implants in the butt. And what happened? That entered her circulation. She felt so much pain in the arms. They had to cut off all her arms and her legs. Can you imagine? And the guy who did that fled. So there are illegal things happening. Why? For beauty standards. Why is it so much? Because the world is asking so much. And thereby, it is like if you don't partake of that, then you're out. You're no longer beautiful. So there is also this for the men that is being pushed. Okay. So I won't read what it says because maybe the algorithm on the video might go down. Okay. So there's that to increase something that is naturally there. So it's pretty much like that. So there was this other pills. It's the same thing. It does the same thing. So it's like you want to satisfy someone, you have to bigger is better, right? So these there is jokes about it, comedians joke about it. There's almost like a push on the men to get something that is not natural, something that is out of this world. So there are these pills which are sold, people can drink, okay? And there was this thing I clipped it from Metro FM. Okay, so what happened in Metro FM? So this was a South African podcast. What was happening was there was this guy who was performing surgeries, male enhancement surgeries for 20 years. Can you imagine? For 20 years. And what was happening? The guy was actually a fake doctor. He was not a real doctor. He was just a fake doctor, right? And he learned how to insert silicone on his own, right? When he was at least 14 years old. So he started to operate. So what had happened was, because the guy was now 36. So what happened was he ended up injuring someone. Okay. So that person reported. And when that person reported, this guy was arrested. Now imagine how many people went to this guy and had complications. And because of embarrassment, you might even be afraid to go and report. But this one person reported this man. And because there's such a push on the men now to get enhanced, okay, to have something that is unnaturally and the people end up obsessing over this thing to the point that by they feel like they are not enough until they get that thing what is being advertised, and due to this people are actually dying. And that's what I wanted to say. People are actually dying. Actually, there was this man, he was 46 years old. Okay, this guy was 46 years old. So 46 years old, by today's standards, you have lived, right? What next is just to leave a legacy for your children, right? So he was seeking an enhancement, and the guy who was doing this was a fake surgeon. Again, how can you tell who is true or not? There's not much certification here. So there was a surgery which was done and it was botched. When they say something is botched, it means something that has gone wrong. So what was happening? The guy was inserting silicone again. Okay, there's so many charlatans going around speaking about silicone, etc. So it went wrong. What happened? And the guy died. Can you imagine that? Dying for a beauty standard. What the world seems as, no, you have to be enhanced. You have to be the man. Otherwise, you won't satisfy the woman. But for what? The person has died. And it's not the only person. There are so many people who have died. There was this guy also. So his guy, he was injecting himself with silicone also. And there are so many reports I found on silicone deaths, right? People died because of silicone. Usually, once that silicone enters the circulation, it moves out of the area of the genitalia. Once it enters the blood circulation, that's it. It will block some other areas and they cannot take it out. It usually die. So this guy, he died. Okay. So he was injecting himself with silicone to enhance the roundness, girth, what you call it. So the mother was blaming the cout master. Pretty much these are videos that you can learn online. Okay, there are people who have paid accounts. You pay, they show you how you do it, etc. But to what end? Remember, we are made in God's image. Okay, I believe the way God created you, you are more than enough, right? But the world is putting the bar higher, and because the pressure is so high, people are coming to a place whereby they are doing things which end their lives. So this is something that I saw that it is there. And this thing, I don't know about you guys where you are, but here on our side, there are so many deaths that happen. Okay. So people get some pills, they want to last longer, right? And what happens in the end? They die. And you know what? Their heart isn't meant to withstand that much pressure. Okay. They'll buy these pills. They want to impress someone. So this was actually a man who took a lady to a lodge, right? So he took those pills, and what happened? He died. Okay. He didn't wake up after he slept. He died, and for what? Because he wanted to impress someone. So these are things that are happening, and I haven't seen much. I was trying to see if someone has spoken about it. No one has spoken about it from the looks of things. But these are things which are destroying the quality of life because there is so much pressure. It's not now. The way God put marriage, it was meant for what? Social, right? You socialize. It's not good for a man to be alone, right? And this act of a man and woman knowing each other is something that is beautiful. The marriage bed, it is not defiled. It's something that is beautiful. It's something that should show intimacy. But now the world has turned it into a performance. You have to be an Olympic performer. Otherwise, it's not enough, right? So what happens? People end up going to extremes. They'll buy drugs which they can't prescribe clearly. They will not check their blood pressure. And what happens? People are actually dying. And this is happening. And the sad reality of most of these drugs, what I've seen is people end up getting dependent. Without the drugs, they can't function. So either way, it's a lose-lose situation, right? Now, I remember I found this so weird, man. There are people who are selling body building herbs. I'm like, what is this? Right? So it's a herb that you take, and then all of a sudden your muscles become shredded like this guy. I don't know if that is true or not. I don't even know whether this claim can be substantiated. I do not know. But all I know is it's the same thing, the same pressure, right? So it's like you're taking a shortcut to an end goal, and they are selling because if it was not selling, then there wouldn't be more people coming in the same line and opening up shops and doing all these things. Okay. And anyways, on the same bodybuilder, one time I remember I'll explain at the end of this presentation. One time I was also into weightlifting. I still lift weights, but not that heavy, right? I just lift enough just to control my weight. Anyways, the point is, most bodybuilders, you know what they die of? They die of kidney failure. They die of heart failure. Some of them even their heart enlarges almost 3 to 4 times. Why? They have to take a lot of steroids. They have to enhance themselves to get to that build. Okay, so when it's time for, let's say, Mr. Olympia or any of these, they have to inject themselves with testosterone, which is almost sometimes it goes about 3,000 the normal range of a normal male, right? They'll put steroids, and what happens to all that? It takes a toll on the body. And you look at the guy and the build, it takes a toll on the heart. Most of them die young. Okay, most people who have won Mr. Olympia or who have competed, they will die young, or Mr. Arnold, right? Why? Because they're taking beauty standards to go against what God put. So it is quite amazing, right? And then I found these also. They were weight gain tablets. Okay. Anyways, I'm not trying to smash the brands. I just try to get information to explain something. So these are weight gain tablets. So if you take these, what happens? You gain weight. Okay, of course, these are organic. So I don't know. And then there were these ones. These ones, I don't know what they are, but they are also purported to make someone also what? Gain weight. So people, others are trying to lose weight, others are trying to gain weight. Anyways, I'll talk about weight afterwards. But this is a lady. I just found her pictures there. So she's saying, look, I've been telling y'all to get in the gym for months now. No supplements or extra pills to help me gain weight. Nothing but healthy eating and weightlifting. I started. So this lady wanted to gain weight, right? So I'm guessing that she was very skinny. Okay. So what I believe is the body, God has put enough mechanism in the body. Right? Let's say someone is skinny, right? And they want to gain weight. What can they do? Well, they can easily begin to like she did. Proper diet, find out which diet provides the most protein, getting weight. Once you work on your muscles, naturally you grow bigger, right? So this one not to gain weight. There's actually weight training regimens for that. Okay, right. So that's what actually happened. Okay, go on the flip side. There was this lady. Again, she says she was 325 pounds. She said, with diet, exercise, no meal plan, no surgery, no pills, no trainer, just changing my lifestyle, counting calories and learning along. So she changed her lifestyle. And notice what happened. It paid off, right? Okay. Suppose if she had taken some pills, what would happen? So the thing is the side effects. That's what ruins the quality of life. Okay. So I just gave you two examples on weight gain and weight loss. All that is possible through gym. And another beauty standard, which is so quite amazing, is whereby people are bleaching their skin. I don't know why. Here in Africa, we have a lot of what we call colorists. Okay, if you are dark, like the way I am, huh, you're mostly teased. I remember when I was younger, growing up, they're like, "Ah, man, you're so black," jokes like that. Of course, as young people, they'll say innocent, etc. But what happens is those things they tend to make you think, though both of you are black, but because you are dark, someone is light, the one who is light is taken as more handsome. The one who is dark, like me, taken as a reject. Okay, so women also face the same thing, especially women. Okay, so this is someone who is advocating. Say, I stopped bleaching. What are they saying? I stopped. I made the best decision I made last year was to stop bleaching my skin. I went through a tough time during the process, but I preserved. Maybe many people couldn't even recognize me anymore. So this lady was actually bleaching her skin. Okay, I remember there was a certain lady where I used to stay when I think when I was what when I was 15. Yeah. So she had got this other medicine from Tanzania to bleach her skin. You know what happened? She ended up getting cancer and in 2 weeks she died. That was a very sad story. And everyone couldn't understand why did she do that? She was people were like, bro, she was just okay. She had nothing, flaws, whatever, and she died, man. And that was serious, you know. So these are things, but remember, we are made in God's image. So this is Vice. Vice, if you don't know about Vice, they usually do some documentaries. So Vice said, when you bleach, it makes you look cuter than you were inside the worrying trend of skin bleaching in Caribbean. So even in the Caribbean islands, this thing of bleaching their skin is very much prominent. But remember, we are made in God's image. All right. So we have this. Now notice bleaching cream should be banned. So you see this lady, she was taking some bleaching creams, and there are side effects to these things because you can't play nature, right? So look at the skin. What happens to the patches of the skin? At the end of the day, you are the one who suffers. So you look different. You end up having scars for life. So these are things, side effects of bleaching. I'm not sorry for that graphic image, but if you look at the lady there, look at her hand. She's using bleaching products, and the legs themselves, what has happened? They are completely changed. So that skin itself, they'll actually have to exfoliate it to remove it so that at least her beauty can return. But those are some of the effects of extreme usage of what? Of bleach. This is a lady, okay? What happened? She has skin rashes. What are those? Effects of bleaching again, you see. So the bleaching products, they have some chemicals. When they go on your skin is a living tissue. Once you start doing that, guess what? You will begin to destroy nature, and what happens? It reacts. Those are some of the effects. So her whole entire body was just covered in rashes. Okay. And this is another lady. I put this here because even in Zimbabwe, they're saying 31,000 women. This was what in March, right? So they say they use skin lightening products despite strict regulations against harmful ingredients like hydrochloroquine, cholesterol, and mercury, right? Which are used in the skin in the skincare products. And you know mercury is a poison, right? Okay. So this is not like skin bleaching crisis in Zimbabwe. It's across Africa. Okay, this is the WHO, World Health Organization. So even the World Health Organization is noting to say, hey man, there's something wrong here. Okay. So these are things which are affecting people. People, why? Because there's so much pressure. The lighter you are, the more beautiful you are. Okay. So that is sad. And look at this. This was someone who's using bleaching. And what happens? You end up destroying what God gave you, right? Destroyed. And even not only women, but also even guys are bleaching. And what happens? They end up having uneven patches. Okay. So there are a lot of problems that happen. Okay. And notice this is a lady. I had to get her. She's one of the most famous models, right? So this model is called model Nyakim Gatwick. Okay. So she had to speak on colorism. Colorism, of course, we have racism. Racism is whereby someone of a different race will speak something concerning the race of someone else in a negative light. Okay. Then there's what we call colorism. Colorism is whereby it's pretty prominent in Africa, whereby people who are light skinned are taken as, oh, look, beautiful, right? Black skin, no, not so much. So that is what you call colorism. And in Africa, that is a big, deep seated problem. And that is what is fueling this crazy beauty trend. So she used to be dark all her life. She used to be teased about it, etc. But guess what? Because of that dark color, she's seen as one of the most beautiful models. Okay. And I remember there was this other lady still. She was so dark. She was darker than her actually. She was so dark. And what happened was someone actually offered her money to bleach her skin. She said no. And guess what? She's also one of the top models. And when she wears the clothing, because she's so dark, it becomes so distinct from the clothes. And she's one of the most expensive models. I didn't put her here. But I was just trying to say, look, what God has given you is what is most important. You are made in his image. That's what I'm just trying to clarify. So when can we draw the line? Okay. When do we draw the line? When it's no longer a preference but an addiction. Okay. Where do we draw the line? So how do you know something is an addiction now? Because you're constantly thinking about it. Okay. It begins to take over your thoughts, even when you don't want to do it. That's when that thing is now an addiction. You feel inadequate or ashamed. Okay. Let's say because you have a size, even if others haven't said anything negative, you feel ashamed. I remember there was this other guy who was doing um height adjustment surgeries. He was doing them on I think was it Asian guys, Chinese guys? Yeah, he did this. And for those guys who had that height adjustment surgery, when they were 40, every one of them was crippled. They couldn't walk or use wheelchair. You see. So no one has said anything, but because of that, you feel ashamed, right? You are chasing risky solutions, like the examples I've given. You know that is unsafe, but what happens? You still go out for things which are unverified out of what? Desperation. So that's when you know something is no longer a preference, but what? An addiction. Now, the thing is, the other things which impact what we call self worth, okay? Or how you think others view you. For example, um, like for me, myself, my skin is very dark, okay? Now, not everyone in our family is like this. My mom is light skinned. My dad is very dark like me. So I got this from my dad. So you have other people in the family. My brother, he's light skinned. My other two sisters are light skinned. The rest of us dark, right? So if I remember there was other guy who's like he took out his arm, put it next to mine. He's like uh two different colors, one people, right? What he meant was I'm dark, he's light skin. So here we have a lot of colorism problem, you see. So you feel like okay, so because I'm dark skinned, I have to get some creams to make my skin what less dark. Okay, so that's when it becomes now an addiction because it's like you feel like it will impact how others are gonna view you. So you've tried to stop obsessing over it, but you can't. Okay. Recently, I talked about those hip and whatever things, right? There's now they're selling these. My friend, a workmate, she sells these other straps. Okay, So they'll make your waist very small, and then they'll lift up your backside, right? For women. Now, one thing I know is this. There's this other thing that you call alcohol liver fatty disease, right? Alcohol liver fatty disease whereby you have a pot belly, right? You have a pot belly from drinking alcohol, just eating too much fat. That pot belly, that visceral fat, it pushes on your internal organs. In this end, your internal organs push upon your liver. And what happens in the end? Your liver ends up being what? Hardened. Now imagine you're putting on something that is squeezing upon your internal organs constantly. What do you think is going to happen to your health? You see, so there are so many beauty standards which people are doing now, which, if you look at it, it's definitely spending money and also eating health. So another thing is you're spending a lot of money on it at the expense of other parts of your life. So that's when you know that is now an addiction. Okay. So the thing that I'd like to say is the inner man is forgotten. So most people have forgotten the inner man. The focus is what? On the outside, fixing on the outside. What do I mean? 1 Peter 3 verse 2 says, when they see your pure and reverent conduct. So what God is most concerned about in the new covenant is, what do people see when they see you? Now, this is speaking on evangelism, not on salvation, right? When people begin to see you, how do you present yourself? When they see your pure and reverent conduct, what happens? The 1 Peter 3 verse 3 says, let your beauty be external. Let your beauty not be external, the braiding of the hair, the wearing of gold, jewelry, or fine clothes. And as verse 4 says, but the inner person of their heart, the lasting beauty of a gentle and tranquil spirit, which is in God's, which is precious in God's sight. So the inner man that is forgotten is this, the beauty of the heart. That's the first thing. The lasting beauty of what? Gentle and a tranquil spirit, which is precious in the sight of God. These are things which are not emphasized. Character is not emphasized. And you know that our character can only develop when you're born again. When you're born of the Spirit, guess what? Your life is changed. You have the life of God. And that character begins to mold according to the life that is in you. So these things are forgotten. What is being emphasized? Only the externals. And due to that, people are trying now to change that image, that external image. They're trying to chip down the temple and change it. So the body temple is being changed. Now, so let me focus more. Notice Proverbs 31 verse 30 says, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain. But a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. The reality is this. If you fear the Lord, if you have a relationship with God, guess what? You will be praised. Okay, that is something that is forgotten. Right now, as I explained the whole presentation, it's all about the shape of the person, right? You have to have a tiny waist, so people are wearing these straps which squeeze on their waist, squeezing on internal organs, right? They are forced to buy some creams or some pills. Only they know what's in the pills, right? I don't know what's there, and they'll take these pills to enlarge or enhance other parts of their body. And we are saying beauty is what? Vain. What is a woman praised for if she fears the Lord? That is something that is not emphasized by the world. But the Bible, Christianity emphasizes that true Christianity, that is, right? What about men? Proverbs 20, verse 29. The glory of young man is their strength, and the beauty of old men is their gray head. When someone has a gray hair, I have some gray hairs. I don't know if you can see them. I have some gray hairs, okay? The thing is, genetically, I have gray hair, okay? I'm getting bald also, right? So I'm losing hair. Anyways, but the point is, when you get to a point whereby you have gray hair, guess what? That is the beauty of old men. You see, so gray hair is a beauty. Why? Because it shows wisdom. It shows that you have preserved yourself. In this very age, people are wasting their youthful age and they don't live to a ripe old age. So that is the beauty for us men. So two beauty standards. Okay. So, anyways, let me talk about my own journey. So that's me when I was in what was the second year of college. So you can see that from the get-go, I had a weight problem. Okay, let me not say weight problem. Genetically, for my house, even though at this point I'll tell you this, even if I'm a vegetarian, my weight just blows up. If I'm substituting on flesh, my weight blows up. I go vegetarian, it doesn't matter. Genetically, that's who I am. So you find that of course does get under control if I'm on a vegan diet or vegetarian diet. It does come under control, but it still increases, right? Anyways, so that's me. Okay. I'm standing on the left side. Okay, that's in second year of college. Okay, so I had some weight issues, right? I had a lot of weight on me. Okay, so notice what happened here. I lost 20 kgs. That's close to what? 44 pounds in only 4 months. So in 4 months, I lost what? 44 pounds or 20 kgs. So that's a lot to lose, man. So I went from this left and this was right. So what happened for me to lose all these? I went to attend a medical missionary training. So we're eating 2 meals per day. You have to go to the field, etc. So hey man, that weight loss and the whole thing was completely vegan, 100% vegan, right? I had never been vegan in my life before, so that weight dropped like crazy. Okay, that weight dropped so fast. So it was my first time to be around what 141 pounds or 60 kg, 64 kgs around there. So it was a good feeling. I had to buy new clothes. I was small, right? I always wondered what it meant to be, skinny, right? So that was me, right? Anyways, it was not long lived because after the training, I had to do other things. So that's still me. As you can see, I look way, way younger. Okay. I look very young because I've lost that weight. Okay, so that was me on at 64 kilos, right? So as you can see on the other side, I look very old. On the other side, I look at least younger. Okay. Anyways, so let's continue. Um, I'm just trying to share my thing. I never used any pills or any of these things, right? Now, what happened later on? This was me. Uh, in my first years when I had started a job. So this was me, okay? Still in my early 20s. So I had this weight, makeshift weight. Here, we don't usually, of course, there are gyms, professional gyms, which are similar to what you see in the USA or all these places. But this was a makeshift gym. So I started, pushing some weight to try to control that weight. But anyways, what ended up happening was that's me. I lost the weight again. So as you can see, I look very skinny. That's me at 69. Okay. Now, what happened for me to lose all that weight? Well, what happened was I was eating at least twice a day. So I'd eat in the morning breakfast and then I'll eat also around 4. Now, what was I eating at lunch? I started to brew this other thing that you call, it's called kombucha. Okay. So they call it kombucha here in Chijoy, just say kombucha, right? So this thing, it's like bacteria and yeast. It's a symbiotic, right? So you give it sugar, tea, and then it grows. So I was doing that. Of course, I was giving ginger anyways. So what ended up happening was I ended up losing a lot of weight. Ended up losing a lot of weight, and I think by then I was not a practicing Christian. So it had a little bit of what some alcohol, right? So I was brewing it to say not for it to go so high. So I was drinking this. So once you drink it, what it meant was you'd go for at least your hunger. Once you drank this drink, your hunger would completely disappear. So I was not eating lunch. So what ended up happening was I ended up shrinking. Okay. So my weight was controlled. I didn't do any weights at this point. I was not a vegan. I was completely on fresh diet. So this was around what 2018 or so, right? But I managed to control that weight due to this drink I was taking. But anyways, I had to check that drink because later on I wanted to get off it because of the alcohol. Anyways, that's me again. That's recent. That's me at 95. So with that being at 95, man, everyone was just using the F word on me. They're like, hey, you're fat, So you might wonder why would someone just say you're fat? Because like here in Africa, when someone says you're fat, it's almost like a compliment. I don't know why. Because when you are skinny, it's almost like you don't have money, etc. But when you're fat, you have the pot belly. Nah, this guy, he's eating money. Things are going well for you. So here, if you are fat, the perception is, man, you good. So people say, hey, bro, you're fat. I'm like, come on, guys, drop it. So I kind of got concerned. So what I did was I started bringing the kombucha again to try to bring my weight down because it came to a place where even my midsection was way too much. So I started drinking it. I was being in moderation just to make sure it doesn't have too much of the, because whatever you do when you make kombucha, it has a small percentage of alcohol. So I'll try to make sure it doesn't go high. I'll make that drink and then drink. So I was convicted by God to say, don't do it. Right? So I was convicted. Hey, don't do it. You know. But you know what? I reason to say, come on, I'm doing it not as a drink. I'm doing it as, how we try to reason against God. But I was convicted. Don't do it. So what happened? I started shedding some weight. That's me at work. Okay. I'm a teacher, as I said. Those are the panels that we use for teaching. Anyways, so that's me at work. So as you can see, I've lost some weight. But guess what? I started to notice something. Something was different. Okay. After losing that weight, I started to feel like whenever I take the drink, I was feeling just shady. I couldn't take 2 drinks per day. Right. So what ended up happening was I ended up having an attack, almost like an asthma attack. I went to work the next day and I almost died. You know why? There was a lot of bacteria in my lungs. Actually, I had researched about kombucha, right? There was this, everyone was like, hey, it's good, everything is good. There was one guy, he said, man, this thing made me sick. So he started explaining it. Guess what I did? Turned that thing off immediately, you know. So I started taking the kombucha. So I almost died, and then I had to go to the hospital. And the bill which came from there was so amazing. I was like, what? They put me on oxygen, right? And they're charging me for oxygen. I was like, man, this thing we breathe for free and I have to pay for it, you know. So yeah, okay. I see kombucha. Okay, all right. So I was having to I got sick, and you know what happened? The kombucha that I was making, it got corrupted. So what you do is when you harvest, you're supposed to make sure your hands are clean because if you have any bacteria, it can go on there and then it's infected. So my batch got infected, and I didn't know. I was like, now it's really good, but I got sick, almost died, and I wouldn't even be here to present. But God had already convicted me, say, look, don't do it. But I did it anyway. Anyways, so now that I learned my lesson, what do I do? I usually have time to just what? To just lift some weights. If I just lift some weights, guess what? My weight is controlled naturally. Okay. Anyways, I was just giving my own example just to help some um to go through. Okay, you have a quick question? Yeah, you can go
Yes.
ahead.
What
Yeah.
is what is I heard you mention combust. What is that? Is it a herbal kind of treatment?
Oh, okay. All right. The kombucha thing is it's not like a herb or so. It's a symbiote. It's almost like a mushroom that goes on top of water. So it's a symbiote. You just give it sugar, it will ferment the sugar, and then afterwards it gives you a lot of what? I'm forgetting the word, but the byproducts, they are things that help you. Okay. So there are things that help your gut. They introduce healthy bacteria to your gut. Okay, they have a lot of things. I remember they have good benefits. So on. Okay, but my batch got corrupted, so that's how I ended up getting down. Yeah, so you can search it Kombucha, kombucha. That's the one.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, sure. All right. So let me just explain about weight loss. So for those people who might be interested in weight loss, I felt like I can share something. The thing is, there's one thing that will definitely blow up your weight, and that is eating sugar. Things which have refined sugar, they'll definitely blow up your weight because sugar is definitely going to be converted to fat. So, what you have to do is, if you want to control those sugar cravings, definitely go for fruits. If you have a lot of fruits in your body, you have a lot of sucrose, you have a lot of fructose, those natural fruits, not fruit drinks. Nah, I'm talking about fresh fruits. If you eat those, what will happen is your body will no longer crave for sugar or sugar things. You can pass by a store which has a lot of sugar, you won't have zero cravings. The thing is to know that you're not eating enough fruits, you have a lot of craving for sugar. That's how it works, right? So eat a lot of fruits. Also go for a lot of whole grain. Go for brown flour products. Okay, those brown flour products have a lot of fiber. That fiber, when you eat it, what it does is it allows the food to pass along your gut quickly, and also in the large intestine when your body, let's say it's digesting fat, it releases what we call it is bile, right? So bile is one that helps the digestion of fat. So when that bile is done digesting, it is reabsorbed by the body. But when you eat things which have brown flour or things which have a lot of fibers, what happens is that bile attaches to the fiber and it is excreted. So your body has to take a lot of cholesterol from your body to make bile again. It does no longer recycle the bile. So that helps also in weight loss, right? Also, spacing of meals, space them at least 5 hours apart. If you're going to take breakfast, 5 hours apart, take lunch 4 hours apart. At least make sure that by the time the sun is going down, you've taken your last meal already. The first meal, the heaviest meal of the day. Second meal should be lighter. Last meal should just be a fruit or something small. Okay. Water, drinking enough water is very important. Exercise, I cannot tell you enough. For me, right now, what I do is I usually take 10 minutes of exercise. That's what I do. I take 10 minutes of exercise, just lifting some dumbbells. Right now, I've made a bench ready so I can lay down and just, lay those dumbbells, right? Or else, if you are really large, you can go for a juicing program. Now, for a juicing program, you just need fresh fruits and vegetables. I'm not talking about those you buy, I'm talking about those you make. So for this one, um, fruits, fresh fruits, what you do is you have to make sure when you juice them, drink it within 2 minutes. You shouldn't go beyond because once those layers forms, it means it's oxidized. So have a juice maker, buy enough fruits. You can go on a fruit and vegetable diet. So the chlorophyll in the vegetables, the green substance, it burns fat. That's very good. So you can have enough fruits and vegetables, juice each and every hour. You can start from 6, then you end at 6 in the evening. In this time that you're doing it, make sure you don't eat anything that is cooked. Okay, so start at 6 a.m., break at 6 p.m. each and every hour, juicing a fruit. In the other hour, you juice a vegetable. The other hour, a fruit, the other hour, a vegetables. A glass at each time. What will happen is by the time you're reaching 3 days, your body would have burnt all the fat. Or by 5 days, your body would have completely burnt that fat. I've seen it myself many times. So there that. I think Jess, you know about Russian steam bath, yeah? That one also burns a lot of fat. I remember one time someone did it on me. I burnt almost like close to a kg. Of course, it was mostly the water that is lost, but anyways, did help. Um, okay, so that's another thing on weight loss, and just generally on health. Okay, there's some things on health that you can just notice. For men, let's start for men. Exercise more. Okay, you have to exercise as a man, right? Because if you don't exercise, what will happen is your body will start to degenerate. Like for me, I'm a presenter, right? My brain has to be in tip-top shape. Okay. I have to remember verses, I have to do all these things. Now, if I don't exercise, guess what happens? I will not have enough endorphins. What are endorphins? Endorphins are what we call feel good hormones, right? Once you're done exercising, your body rewards you, you have endorphins. Endorphins are hormones that your body releases make you feel good, right? So that is what is in. Also, if I exercise, what happens is 5 minutes after, your body develops vessels to reach those deep brain areas. These areas of the brain whereby stroke mostly what attacks. So this is very important for exercise. Okay. All right. And also, there is a blood flow to the rest of the body. Okay. If you exercise, there's enough blood flow to the rest of the body, and like this week I was trying to buy some glucometers to be measuring some blood sugar level, and they were gone. Like I couldn't get any. I had to go other part of town just to get them. Why? Most people are now diabetic, right? Okay, so diabetes is crazy, but if you are into exercise, right? Even if you have, let's say, the genes for that, you can actually control it from getting out of control. So when you have exercise, you have blood flow to the rest of the body. So blood flow to the rest of the body is what is most important, because if you have this blood flow, you have no need for enhancers. You have no need for those pills or whatever. No, because what is most important is blood flow. So if you have blood flow, that's all you need. So I talked about endorphins. All right. For women, oh yeah. Also on this, on the last point, I talked about people who are going for what? For what do you call that? Surgeries. People who are injecting silicone, etc. So I just added this to say, look, your God made your body in a wonderful way. If you exercise each and every day, okay, you can actually help your body to have enough blood flow. Okay, you can add an inch naturally. Okay, I'm talking about to the male organ. Anyway, so for women, there's this issue by they are always being I talked about what? I talked about those hip and body boosters, whatever, etc. Right? You, God has given your body everything that it needs. People can actually get into exercise such as squats, etc., and the body can actually grow naturally. What we are talking about is natural. You do not need injections or all these crazy pills because that has a lot of what side effects. Okay. Lastly, the inner man. Again, I want to talk about this. Psalms 27 verse 4, it says, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple." One thing I'd like to say is this: there is a beauty of holiness. And because sometimes we don't behold the Lord, what happens is we become consumed in what the world has to offer. There is a beauty, there are standards of beauty in the world, yes. But guess what? There is also a standard of beauty that is there when you see God. When you seek God, you begin to see that every other light that the world can provide begins to get dim because you're seeing God, right? This verse, I love it. It says, Psalms 90, verse 17 says what? "And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Yea, the work of our hands, establish it." Okay, so that was the last verse. So what it means is by Monday, I'll look at the lesson under the law and under grace. So what I want to do now, under the law and under grace. So what I want to do now, I want to share a song. Okay, so this song, after that, we'll have a discussion afterwards. But this song, what I want to do is it will actually encapsulate everything that I was what? Everything that has been presented. So this song talks about how we are made in God's image. Okay. I don't know if you can see it now. Okay. All right. So let me play this song.
From the heavens, light has waited here. Let us make man in our image so fair. The Son, the architect, stood by his Son, rejoicing in his Father, and love glorified. When God wanted to make man, he said to his Son, "Let us make man in our image." For the Son alone is the reflection divine. In Adam and Eve his glory did shine. Through the brightness of his glory display.